There is a bread that once sat on every table, from the grand monasteries of Burgundy to the smoky longhouses of the Baltic. You will not find it in any supermarket today. You will not see it featured on popular cooking shows. And yet, this humble, dense loaf sustained entire civilizations for more than 1,000 years before the first soft, white industrial bread was ever pulled from a factory oven. Monks ate it in contemplative silence. Viking warriors carried it on longships across freezing seas. Soldiers marched on it during brutal campaigns. Peasants in cold stone cottages fed their children with it through winters so harsh they would crush modern societies. Subscribe and comment for more medieval videos. This bread was more than food. It was survival, medicine, and cultural memory baked into one dense slice. And here is what almost nobody is telling you. This simple bread, made without white flour, without sugar, and without any processed ingredients, can deliver up to 5 times more omega-3 fatty acids per serving than a fillet of wild salmon. Before I share the full story and the authentic recipe, we must travel back through time. Let us go back to the year 950 along the Baltic coast. This is not the modern Baltic with ferries and container ports. This is a raw, unforgiving world of wooden longhouses dug into hillsides, thatched roofs, and winters that lasted 4 long months of near-total darkness. Inside one of those houses, long before sunrise, a woman is already at work. She might be a grandmother with weathered hands, or a young mother responsible for feeding her entire household. The fire has been carefully kept alive overnight beneath a thick layer of ashes. She pulls a heavy stone bowl from a shelf and reaches into a wooden chest. She takes dark, coarse rye flour, freshly ground that morning between 2 heavy stones. Then she adds a generous handful of small, flat, oil-rich seeds grown in the field behind the house. These are flax seeds. She mixes them with warm water, a pinch of salt, and a piece of living sourdough starter that has been passed down through generations in that same household. The dough is heavy, sticky, and dense, nothing like the light, airy doughs we know today. She shapes it into a thick loaf and slides it into the clay oven, glowing with the morning fire. This single loaf will have to feed the family for days. Hundreds of kilometers away, in a Benedictine monastery along the Rhine River, the scene is strikingly similar. Monks work in silence, following the rule of St. Benedict. They knead the same rye flour and flax seeds into dense loaves that will sustain the community through prayer, labor, and study. This was not gourmet food. This was essential, life-sustaining nourishment. Nearly 150 years earlier, around the year 800, Emperor Charlemagne issued the Capitulare de Villis, one of the most important agricultural documents of the early Middle Ages. In it, he commanded every royal estate across his empire to grow flax. The Romans had called it Linum usitatissimum, the most useful plant. They were right. From a single crop, medieval people obtained strong fibers for clothing, sails and ropes, oil for lamps and cooking, nutrient-dense seeds for bread and porridge, material to waterproof wood and leather. Archaeological evidence confirms this importance. At a Viking Age site on the Åland Islands, researchers found nearly 100,000 flax seeds. In the ancient trading town of Birka in Sweden, excavators discovered entire charred loaves of bread still containing visible flax seeds, more than 1,000 years after they were baked for funeral rituals. The Vikings called the seeds lin. The monks knew them as linseed. We call them flax seeds. Modern science has only recently begun to understand why this bread was so powerful. A 100-gram serving of whole flax seeds contains 22.8 grams of omega-3 fatty acids, primarily ALA. By comparison, the same weight of wild Atlantic salmon provides only about 2.1 grams, meaning flax delivers more than 10 times the omega-3 content. Even though the human body converts only a portion of plant-based ALA into the long-chain EPA and DHA found in fish, The sheer volume is so large that this bread provided an impressive amount of usable omega-3s. Additionally, it delivered up to 10 grams of dietary fiber per serving, extremely high levels of lignans, up to 800 times more than other common foods, powerful prebiotic compounds that supported gut health, slow-release complex carbohydrates that provided steady energy for long days of hard labor. The monks and Viking women didn't understand omega-3s or lignans. They simply observed through generations that families who regularly ate this bread were stronger, recovered from sickness faster, and survived brutal winters better than those who didn't. The story of its disappearance is both simple and heartbreaking. As the Industrial Revolution transformed food production in the 19th and early 20th centuries, bread stopped being a handmade staple and became a commercial product. Factories needed bread that was cheap to produce, light in weight, soft in texture, and able to last for weeks on shelves. Flaxseed oil is delicate. Once the seeds are ground, it begins to oxidize and turn rancid within days. Dense rye bread doesn't rise high and looks ugly compared to fluffy white loaves. So the industry made a calculated decision. Remove the flax, remove most of the bran and germ, add sugar and chemical dough conditioners, and produce soft white bread that could sit on shelves for months. What we gained was convenience and shelf life. What we lost was real nutrition, flavor, and satiety. Whole rye was replaced by refined white flour. Traditional long fermentation sourdough was replaced by fast-acting industrial yeast. The bread that had sustained Europe for over 1,000 years was quietly erased from daily life and cookbooks. Recreating the ancient bread in your kitchen today. Here is the most authentic version possible using ingredients available today. "250 grams whole rye flour, dark, coarse, and fragrant. 310 gash whole flax seeds, 200 gash freshly ground plus 110 gash left whole. 115 grams active sourdough starter, highly recommended, or 2 teaspoons active dry yeast. 355 milliliters warm water, body temperature. 8 to 9 grams sea salt, about 1.5 teaspoons. Step-by-step method. 1. Grind 200 grams of flax seeds into a coarse meal using a coffee grinder or blender. In a large bowl, combine the rye flour, ground flax meal, whole flax seeds, and salt. Mix thoroughly with your hands. Make a well in the center. Add the sourdough starter and the warm water. Mix with your hands until a thick, heavy, sticky dough forms. It will feel dense and rustic. This is correct. Transfer the dough into an oiled 23 by 13 centimeters loaf pan. Smooth the top with wet hands and sprinkle extra whole flax seeds on the surface. Cover with a clean cloth and let it rise. With sourdough, 12 to 18 hours at room temperature. With commercial yeast, 2 to 3 hours. Preheat your oven to 220 degrees Celsius, 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Bake for 50 to 60 minutes until the crust is deep dark brown, almost black in places, and the loaf sounds hollow when tapped on the bottom. Remove from the oven and cool completely on a wire rack for at least 40 minutes before slicing. This resting period is crucial. The finished bread is dense, deeply flavorful, earthy, and slightly nutty. One thick slice provides remarkable satiety and sustained energy. In our modern world, we spend billions chasing miracle foods and expensive supplements. Meanwhile, the answer was growing in European fields and baked in humble ovens for over 1,000 years. Making this bread is more than a recipe. It is an act of cultural reconnection. It is a quiet rebellion against ultra-processed food. It is a way to honor the hands that kneaded dough in the dark mornings of the Middle Ages so their families could survive. The next time you cut a slice of this ancient bread, take a moment to think about the people who came before us. the monks chanting prayers, the Viking mothers preparing for long winters, the soldiers eating their last meal before battle. They didn't have nutrition labels or Instagram-worthy photos. They had something far more valuable, generational wisdom baked into every loaf. That wisdom is still here. All we have to do is remember and bake.